My name is Rebecca Hare, and I am queued up to learn.
Hey everybody, welcome to Queued Up. Thank you so much for joining us today. I'm super excited because I'm chatting with the awesome Rebecca Hare. So welcome, Rebecca, to Queued Up.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here. I'm glad we were able to make this happen.
Oh, absolutely. Same here. Same here. So it's been a pleasure knowing you, connecting with you. We just connected recently at a conference, face to face for the first time, but we've been talking for a little while. So
Yep.
that was super exciting. So it's like full circle having you here right now.
It is. It's amazing all the connections you can make across the country in education right now. It's pretty incredible.
Yeah, that is definitely true. Okay, so the first question I have for you is,
I'm excited that we think that we're transitioning out of the obsession on quantitative data and collecting information through tests and just focusing purely on what kids are able to regurgitate and moving past that level of recall into really making them better thinkers through explorations and creativity, that the kids can make their thinking more visible with all of the incredible technological advances that we have. They can easily make videos, they can easily do artwork, and they can make their ideas visible to a global audience. I think that's pretty incredible, and a more authentic audience. That's really exciting me, just the nature of how that's changing right now for kids.
totally. I love that as well, that our students are able to be creators of content and just, make their learning super sticky that way. So
Absolutely. Yeah, I don't learn anything if I don't create through it. I didn't learn math. I really struggled with math in high school until I was an industrial designer and I had to use the principles because my product would fall apart or fall down. And all of a sudden, all of that work that I was like, oh, if someone had just taught it to me in that way, it would have made sense. So I definitely was somebody, I learn through creation.
I hear you. And I'm kind of the same way. So I totally get you on that. I totally get it. All right, cool. So the next question I have for you is,
I think personally, it's continuing to develop really amazing experiences for my students and making sure that I'm training them through processes that can be replicated across any discipline. That they're walking out. This is why I got back into education, or why I got into education in the first place, was because I was hiring young designers and they couldn't really think. They were very instruction based. And so I want to help build a world of problem solvers and kids who they might say as adults go, I don't know the answer to this, but I do have a method to figure it out. Like, this is what we're going to do. And so continuing to explore that with my students and the classes I get to teach, have them do really incredible, exciting projects. And then also getting to work with other schools and keep designing spaces is really amazing as well. Getting to work with teachers and having them come to me 2 weeks after, 5 months after, and say, this has completely changed my practice for the better. I've been teaching for 35 years and I didn't realize how much the environment affected my learners. And it's like just giving them one of the biggest tools out there that hasn't really been touched on before. It's always just been secondary. So that's another really exciting thing I get to do.
okay, so segueing into that, you've been doing some work with Q with their Bold Symposium. So could you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes, we are working with Laguna Unified School District and their high school to design a classroom that is responsive and it's going to really kind of drive the learning in the room. So I got to work with Michelle, who's really an incredible educator, and help her figure out what are the ways in which the elements in the space can help support the learning that she already does, and how can we create an environment that's going to enhance it. So really giving kids more autonomy, giving kids spaces that they can make their thinking more visible in. And we can really support all the structures that we know that go into play and more creative learning with the environment. Because when kids are in desks and rows, which is what she had before, you have the teacher in the front and just delivering content. So we've done something really great. We've moved the power center of the classroom to the center, and it's very flexible, so she could move that around how she needs to, but she's on this sort of portable desk, this podium. And then we've got two points for when she's giving direct instruction, but the students can be sitting in a variety of seating while that's happening. And then when it moves into workshop mode, they have writable surfaces. They can be standing up, they can be working through the information, they can be brainstorming. Then she can kind of bring them back again. So she's in the center. It's no longer everyone's looking at her. She's kind of behind them and pushing them forward and then pulling them back in again. And it's a much more effective way to teach when you're in the center of the room. There's a lot of research on that. And so I'm excited to see that help her in her practice and empower her students. She works primarily with students with different disabilities and learning, and who have, really working with them through writing practices and teaching a smaller group of students. And they're very active students who need a lot of movement, and giving them the dignity to be in a beautiful environment that they get control of, I think is another great key that we've done. So the design is really exciting and beautiful, but not just because the furniture is great, but because the practices and the thinking behind it are really solid.
Ooh, I love that. I love that. And I wish that like every classroom was like that. But I mean, that just sounds so dynamic and so engaging. And I love what you said about the practices and the structures being in place, not just the space being laid out the way that it is, but also using the practices efficiently. So that is wonderful.
Yeah, and every classroom can really be done that way. A lot of times it's not even buying new furniture necessarily. It is re-envisioning the space to be more supportive of learning. So when people stop thinking about, okay, I've got 10 desks or I need 5 tables, they start to think like, what is the work my students will do? How am I going to support them? And we answer those questions, then the space really defines and designs itself based on how you need it to work. So as a designer for years, people come up to me and say, what do you think about this desk or this table? And I'm like, it doesn't matter. Like, what is happening with your learning? That's what you need to have. Like, how engaged are your students? What are they going to be creating based on what their content is, what they're learning? And then when we know those answers, then it's so easy. It's just picking things out. But it's those big, deep questions you have to ask first.
That is so powerful. Like knowing the purpose behind why you want to have the space arranged in a certain way.
Yeah, and it's going to be really exciting because participants who come to our sessions are going to hear the design story. They're going to get to experience what it's like to be a learner in the space, which I think is so key. So they'll understand like why the space exists, why certain elements are in different places, why they're flexible when they need to be, or agile and can move around. And they're also going to learn 3 really simple designer strategies to re-envision their own spaces. A lot of the work you need to do to make your space more student-centered and more driven by the learning are simple strategies. So it's about looking at the elements in the room differently. So everyone can walk away and really feel like that they've gotten a good training in design. So that's exciting. And when you can do that like in 60 minutes, it's pretty powerful.
Oh yeah, I wish I were there.
You need to come.
Yes, I really want to be in that room. So that is awesome. That is awesome. So, I mean, I feel like I could talk with you about this all day because I'm like so engaged right now. I do have one more question for you.
Yeah. Well, this goes with my own practice, and I think really creating an environment, because the two things are really connected. I'm really obsessed with pushing creative thinking, and the environment supports that. So I think that when you can pull back and give the kids more trust, and there's the great saying that like, who does the work does the learning. And so often teachers feel this burden to be these amazing content deliverers, and they're putting on a show and kids are compliant and they're just waiting for the class to be over. When you can pose questions and turn your students into creators, then you can do that just-in-time learning that needs to happen. And then you can connect them to what needs to happen. And it's not you delivering. I mean, my direct instruction is so limited in my class, and I'm going around each student and pushing them where they need to go. But that happens because I trust them. And so I think that the biggest advice I could give is for educators to just start really trusting their students, that they're the protagonist of their learning.
I love that quote, the protagonist of their learning. That is just amazing. Well, thank you so much, Rebecca. It has really been a pleasure to chat with you. And I've gotten so much out of this, and I'm sure our viewers will too. So thank you again. And for everyone who's watching, thank you so much.
Thank you. And I hope to see everyone in Laguna Beach and at Q Bold. It's going to be amazing.
Oh yeah. So join her. Go to her session. Go to her session.
Absolutely.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.